My definition of a wingnut is someone on the far right or far left wing of the political spectrum, the professional partisans, the unhinged activists, the paranoid conspiracy theorists, the people who are always trying to divide rather than unite us. And one telltale sign of a wingnut is they always confuse partisanship with patriotism. I'm John Avlon, senior political columnist at the Daily Beast and author of Wingnuts, How the Lunatic Fringe is Hijacking America. We've all been so polarized by the current political debates that attempts to keep a sense of perspective in our politics are almost themselves unfashionable. People like it if they can put you in a box and say, oh, well, you're a conservative columnist, you're a liberal columnist. But I think it's important to reject that, to stand up to that. And that's why this book in some ways is a rebellious project.
I didn't know this. CNN every week has a Wingnuts of the Week segment, meaning wacko right-wingers. And today I guess it was my turn. Question with John Avlon, Daily Beast reporter.
Straight down the middle, CNN new hires. He was a speechwriter for Rudy Giuliani, which makes him neutral.
If the far left and the far right are both furious at you, you're probably doing something right. If you condemn Glenn Beck for calling the president racist, which you should, then if you're being fair and consistent and honest, you also have to call out Keith Olbermann for calling Scott Brown racist, homophobic, and a promoter of violence against women the night before the Massachusetts special election. I believe, as a matter of principle, that the far right and the far left can be equally insane. I also think there's no question that the far right has been far crazier in the first years of Obama.
USA! USA!
Some people, think that the Tea Partiers are wingnuts. I do not. I think that's a very important distinction to make, that the Tea Party movement began, as I chronicle in the book, as a principled fiscal conservative protest. But then something very important happened, and you need to deal with both strains here. Over the course of last summer, as we started to see the sort of healthcare town hall hijackings and talk of death panels and all this other stuff, we started to see a serious dose of Obama derangement syndrome. One of my favorite sections of the book is called How Obama Became Hitler, a Communist, and the Antichrist, because even just tracing the evolution of those ideas is so absurd. In researching this book, someone at a protest wielding a sign comparing Obama to Hitler, and I go up to them and say, hey, what's going on here? What are you trying to say? One of the things they always say is, well, they started it. The folks on the far left compared Bush to Hitler and nobody complained. So it's important to understand the interplay and the way that the extremes do encourage each other. I think Sarah Palin can be best understood as the queen of the conservative populists. What's interesting is that she's now not only one of the most polarizing figures in American politics, she's even polarizing in the Republican Party. And if she runs for president, she will have a lot of support, especially in something like the Iowa caucuses, where personal commitment really matters. So she is a force in American politics, and she should not be underestimated as a result. And right now, we've seen the rise of the militia movement in the first year of the Obama administration. And not coincidentally, perhaps, it really flourished in the early days of the Kennedy administration. We saw the militia movement flourish during the administration of Bill Clinton. And the most disturbing of them, such as Marine Lance Corporal Cody Brittingham, who I write about in the book, who wrote a letter of intent to assassinate President Obama, identifying him as a domestic enemy as set forth under the Constitution. We need to be aware of the forces we're playing with. We've seen a lot of these themes before. So it's part of a larger dynamic, and it's a destructive dynamic, and I think it's time we confront it. And the basic message of the book is that we need to stand up to extremism on both sides before this cycle of political incitement gets any uglier or any worse.